So I'll go over there and, oh, brilliant work again, Bethesda, great. Hey there, little guy, are you trapped in the ground? Maybe I can help. Oh, not again! Yes, I did it! Oh, for fuck's sake! Lord knows Fallout 4 VR has some problems, and it does have some problems. Why does this keep happening? But behind all of this is some very genuine innovation that gives Fallout 4 VR its own feel, its own flavor, its own recipe for success. It needs more pepper. And for a game that's half broken, I didn't really like in the first place, and I've already spent over 100,000 hours playing, I'd say that's quite a fucking achievement. But look, talking about all the reasons a game is good is less interesting than hearing someone complain about it. You see, your brain is programmed to more readily pick up, listen, and remember negativity. It's what got us where we are today, and marks why we're such resentful fuckheads. So, is making a video about why this game is so great actually a good idea? Well, I could complain about one thing. For a game with so much locomotion, Fallout 4 VR plays quite effortlessly. Standing in the middle of a room waving your arms about with a box strapped to your head that does nothing but constantly flash lights into your face while gravity slowly wears you down is understandably a little tiring. But playing this game with the literal world flying past and spinning around you doesn't actually make you that sick. Not like this shit. So we have this huge open world game you can realistically play all the way through without your neck apparently snapping off. And do you know what they did with this absolutely wondrous achievement? Come here. Closer. No, closer. They released Fallout 4 VR without scope functionality, and it's such a fucking momentary lapse in reasoning, I'm half expecting Pink Floyd to turn up and try and sue somebody. What? They did release the game so you can still attach scopes to your gun, but like the masochists they are, they didn't fucking work in the slightest. So you can't use them to zoom in and kill enemies, so the scopes just sit there teasing you. I am gonna talk about the good stuff soon, I swear. It's all well and good in the open parts of the game before you reach any towns and cities. There isn't much cover, and in the forests, there's so much cover you can just sneak through and go power fist on that ass. But once you reach the city, everyone is behind cover, and that cover is behind fucking walls. So, oh, I better just pull out my old trusty sniper rifle. Oh, wait. So you rock up, pissing bullets away like a diabetic with a pack of Skittles. These guns are not for shooting far away things, which is quite an odd thing to say about a gun, but you need a fucking scope, damn it. You don't bring a handgun to a wine tasting, and you don't fucking bring one here either. I'm not Bullseye. What is going on in this movie? So imagine the game has been out for over a month, and this entire area, which is the most substantial part of the game, I might add, is totally off limits, even though this was a full price game, and it took 2 months for them to fix this. Oh my. And I know many of you are thinking, oh, he's just bad at shooting. And yes, this isn't fucking Halo, people. We are actually aiming these guns, and if you haven't noticed because you've had several brain hemorrhages, I am exceptionally British. And I'm about as good with an actual gun as I am with a mild breeze. I've called for help, but I don't think anyone's coming. The game has no crosshairs, and aiming down iron sights is not the same as Call of Duty, because contrary to popular belief, I am not steady arms McNever-moves like soapy water over there. And yes, you can get good with the handguns and the rifles and use them to snipe people, sort of. But it's a very bad solution to a very simple problem that we should not be having. Large sections of Fallout 4 were basically built around the fact that you could have scopes, and to remove them and still release it as a full game shows such an alarming lack of awareness on the part of the developers for what Fallout 4 is as an experience. Makes you wonder what the hell is going on. Look, I make fun of them for being inept, but I don't think it's that at all. I think they ran out of time and didn't have enough resources to get everything done. As well as that, this is all very new technology. Oh shit! It is probably really, really difficult to add shit like this on the fly. So what I take from this is we all need to slow down and take on the massively overquoted words from the human equivalent of Taoism that is Shigeru Miyamoto. A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. He probably said that in Japanese. Well, that was all well and good before we started updating a game non-stop every day for 2 years to make it fucking passable. So there you go, we have scopes now, so it's all wasted breath anyway. All is forgiven, but I clearly haven't forgotten. Or forgiven, actually.
I can see that lone star from 1,000 miles away.
The most striking thing about Fallout 4 VR is how well designed the shooting mechanics are. To put it simply, it works really, really well and is worryingly enjoyable. The aiming is pretty much flawless. Fuck! And the 3D is so well implemented you can properly admire the genuinely beautiful craftsmanship and design of the weapons in this game. Look, the Fallout series has absolutely amazing art design thanks majoritively to the artists of the original game, namely Leonard Boyarsky and his art team. What the fuck? And to be able to actually hold these awesome weapons and have them work so well is why this game survives so many of its flaws. This is arguably the most important part they needed to get right, and to be honest, they absolutely nailed it. Shoot, shoot. A lot of people also complain about having no hands, but this isn't something I notice. There are already really good VR games out, like Arizona Sunshine, where you have hands. But for in-game hands to work in VR, they generally have to move independently from you anyway when you do things like reload and perform certain actions. So having them in the game doesn't really help the immersion at all. And to be honest, I really like watching how the guns behave in Fallout 4 with nothing in the way. Seeing how they work and reload is honestly a little mesmerizing to me.
Calling me back home, though I ventured far astray.
V.A.T.S is hands down,
Can I go up now?
the most impressive thing Bethesda have achieved in this port. The team here have made something truly special.
Look, I don't write these shit jokes. They just keep happening.
And it's surprisingly balanced in a game with a fucking compulsory invincibility mode. V.A.T.S here could stand as a benchmark for how slow motion VR gameplay could be integrated into RPGs. It's that good. In previous games, V.A.T.S was basically just a pause button that gave you some options of what you could do. And this was a good interpretation of turn-based combat. But in VR, this mechanic's now controlled by where you yourself are aiming. So by slowing down time, it gives you more of a chance to center your aim on the target, which, as I've discussed, when the target is a little further away is... this is so difficult. Fallout 4, one way or another, focuses way more on action-based gameplay than strategic role-playing, and V.A.T.S has been altered in Fallout 4 VR to match this core gameplay on offer, rather than just being an unrevised carbon copy Klingon from earlier iterations of the series. It's a really nice change to have made and fits the new gameplay exceptionally well. Whew, we got very analytical there. Here's me falling from the highest point in the map to make up for it. Whoa, oh. This isn't so bad. What the fuck?
When I see that beacon shining for me all alone.
So I spawned Rick and Morty, Bob Ross and Gordon Ramsay, and we're all hanging out in VR. I have spent literally thousands of hours looking at these faces while making machinima, and seeing them in full life 3D is honestly a little emotional.
That's impossible to reach. I'm not a magician, you know?
I hate all of you! Playing the original Fallouts has taught me that Bethesda gone pinched every aspect of the visual style they used for Fallout 3 and onwards. Fallout 3, 4, and New Vegas, God bless its divine soul, are near identical first-person visual recreations of the original games. I mean, they're all beautiful. Stylistically speaking. And I'd say this is a huge contributor to the success of these games. The graphics of 4 were a little aged even on release, but the style was still there, and I'm sure many people still find this very appealing. Pretty pictures. Bethesda put a lot of effort into the finer details of the visuals of Fallout 4, but you honestly don't really notice them in the original game. I mean, look up in the vault in VR, and it's an absolute madhouse of steam, pipes, and wires, and they're all individually rendered. Adding this many separate meshes to the ceilings of a building somewhere that no one's gonna look out or notice is a lot of unnecessary work, which probably should have been spent on other things. But in VR, you are so much more receptive to what is going on around you because, you know, you're actually there. Oh, for fuck! So you start to notice these details all over the game world, and they really do make many of the locations so much more impressive and interesting to explore. Oh, I need to stop installing so many mods. I mean, this is just... What the fuck is that? It's actually really interesting that all this effort is finally having some genuine impact over 2 years after the game was released. The animations in Fallout 4 also get a bit of a bum rep. I mean, they do look fucking awful most of the time, let's be fair. But just like in the Vault in VR, you can't help but be enthralled at the genuine attention to detail Bethesda have applied to a good portion of their characters and animations. Oh, hello there. Oh my god! Straight up, Mr. Handies look amazing. When they're around, Fallout 4 VR suddenly feels like it's become a simulation to test robot designs before you build them. I'm really sorry. As an NPC, they are made up of so many separate, intricate moving parts, it just adds to the bafflement that you'd let this monstrosity with a saw as big as my head near a fucking baby.
Darling, the abomination that's looking after our baby is fucking blowing up again.
So now the cutscene where you watch all the Mr. Handies explode is like watching years of detailed and intricate work burn to the ground before your inadequate eyes. Like watching a flower die or when my coffee comes out too weak. What have I done? The same can be said of the vault door unlocking, the Mr. Handy tower opening, meeting the mechanists for the first time. Oh, that's right, I don't have any footage of that because the DLCs aren't supported in VR because fuck the consumer. The developers of Fallout 4 seem to favor this idea of applying numerous moving parts at once to initiate and signal an event, even when opening a fucking door. This is a reasonably appealing thing to watch in 2D, but generally its complexity is lost a little because you aren't really able to see it that closely. In VR, you are so much more receptive to these animations. They come to life in a pretty spectacular way. Please don't hurt me! And just act as a little sprinkling of joy and immersion to many of the locations and encounters you have. I mean, look at this, it's fucking great. The default Pip-Boy no longer pauses the game when you want to change weapons or armor. What a fucking brilliant idea! Why is this not always an option? I think this is honestly genius. In Fallout 1 and 2, swapping weapons in a fight was a serious disadvantage. It would basically cost you a turn if you didn't plan it correctly. Imagine if Reservoir Dogs suddenly paused for a second and Mr. White ended up holding a missile launcher. That'd have fucked the scene up a little, wouldn't it? Where'd you get that, Steve Buscemi would say, who'd somehow been shot in the face in a different movie. Imagine wanting to change a weapon in Fallout 4 if the game didn't pause. You'd need to be quick and choose at the right moment, or run into cover ready to make your decision. This small change would totally alter a huge part of the game and make the combat situations, which there are a lot of, so much more tense and strategic. But nah, that would make the game challenging, which is somehow a bad thing.
The roads are the dustiest, the winds are the gustiest, the gates are...
If you aren't fighting in Fallout 4, you're exploring. So it stands to reason that this needs to work really well in VR too. It does. It's so good in VR, it works so well. There is so much stuff in this game. I mean, here's a random list of items in the game to give you an idea of the fucking insane degree they've jammed shit into it. There are beer bottles, baseballs, beakers, paintbrushes, toothbrushes, hairbrushes, pint glasses, drinking glasses, shot glasses, eyeglasses, cork, copper, concrete cloth, beryllium fucking agitators, gnomes, gears, globes, glass, gold, swan boat fragments. I mean, just skulls alone. Brahmin skulls, Kappa skulls, skull cap bones, skull faceplate, skull fragment. God, these guys like skulls. Upper skull, human skull, and you get the idea. I wonder if it's just me, but I totally miss collecting the bobbleheads all the time. Or a really cool weapon will be just lying on a desk and I'll blindly wander past and start hoarding all the fans instead. Because in this game, screws have all the economical worth of a fucking human being.
Father, what's going on?
Not now, Sean, there are screws here, I can smell them! What I mean to say is exploring in this game is quite an involved task, because every room has so much in it, you spend half the game time looking through shelves deciding whether or not you really can fit in another typewriter. Literally discarding fucking missile launchers to make room for more peppermills, I need them really! In VR, and I seriously mean this, you miss nothing, and exploring a room takes literally no time at all because you're actually in that room. You see, in real life, if you were to walk into a really cluttered room but there was a fucking gun in the corner, you're gonna probably take note. And it's the same here. And because you can actually reach out and grab the things yourself, you can rummage through a room and steal stuff faster than a kleptomaniac on speed. I'm just gonna see if I can grab an item through a wall. So I put my arm through. What the fuck is happening? It may seem like a minor point, but you spend a lot of time in this game looking through rooms, and it works exponentially better in VR, and it really smoothens out this portion of the gameplay. I'm gonna try and push these two items together as well. I'm not sure about this one at all, because generally I'm quite prone to getting motion sickness. Whoa, okay. Basically, you could say if there was a lead belly perk in real life, I certainly didn't take it. What the fuck am I talking about? Somebody touch my spaghetti! When I first started playing Elite Dangerous, it made me sick. Like my stomach itself was turning the opposite way to the ship. Oh, I wonder what would happen if I threw up while wearing this helmet. By the time the video was done, I could literally do this and feel almost nothing. Can I stop doing this? I have a sneaking suspicion that you can develop sea legs, but for VR. VR legs. Vlegs. Flag! There's a VR horror game called The Bellows, and whilst looking like a GameCube game and being the scariest horror experience of my life, it makes you feel like the nausea center of your brain is being massaged with fucking rocks. I mean, it's utterly unbearable. And I thought this was just how smooth Locomotion would be in VR, but in Fallout 4 VR, the feeling is so drastically minimal. It generally seems to be a mutual feeling amongst the community that VR Locomotion makes people sick, but not Fallout 4 VR. I imagine what Bethesda did here was scale the world around you so it's somehow more open, and as a result feels like there's less around you at any one time. Because the more you can minimize the amount of objects that move around you while you do, the better it is for sickness. I also think they've really cleverly fine-tuned the controls. You see, you don't move at all based on where your head is pointing in this game. It's all carefully controlled with the touchpad and the controller, so you're much less likely to wobble about, which keeps the world movement around you minimal. Oh, good.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
What Bethesda are great at is sound, visual style, and size. Even today, I feel like Skyrim continues to be beautiful, on the most part. But in Fallout 4, I feel like a little bit too much effort was applied to these three characteristics, and as a result, the game has suffered in substance. Mainly in terms of the writing and the story.
This truly is a wonderful place, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean... Oh god. Okay, maybe it's for the best I killed him? Ew. And this may be an unpopular opinion, but generally I feel people do prefer the story in New Vegas and Fallout 3. Saying that, is Fallout 4 a horror game? I mean, seriously, I can't work this out. Much of the game is designed like one, with spooky music and dark corridors.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not editing this together. This is not funny.
We're so sorry, skeletons, you're so misunderstood.
No, I'm not doing it. Next scene.
But the effect of this isn't complete here, because you can save at any time, so there's no risk to you, and you are ultimately death incarnate anyway. Partly to blame is how fine-tuned the combat mechanics in the vanilla game are. You can aim and kill stuff way too effectively to feel any threat from the enemies. And that's right, I'm saying the combat mechanics in Fallout 4 are too good. And they are.
People are gonna fucking kill me.
In VR though, it all comes alive, and I had no idea how amazing most of the sound design in this game is, but it's spectacular! That combined with the obvious immersion and the fact that you yourself have to swiftly aim at this living proof that there is no God before it rips your face off is all the more intense and allows the many horror aspects of the game to take over properly. And this all leads me on to a success that also results in the game's main failure. Yeah, that's some convoluted shit right there. There's a graveyard near where you start, with a beacon-like light that draws you in. You slowly tread through a dark forest to get there, the eerie music building as you get closer. The graves have flowers, skeletons, vases, fucking empty cribs. You slowly explore the graveyard, becoming more and more certain that you're being watched. You enter a crypt with a cult-like shrine glowing in the center. Suddenly behind you, you hear footsteps. You swivel around and unload 2 shells into the face of an unsuspecting raider returning to his shrine. Now in VR, that was really cool. That's the good stuff. But that was all that happened. There was nothing to discover here, nowhere to go, no one to talk to, and nothing to learn. The reason for this is Fallout 4 is so big, all its experiences have been spread out across the map in different forms. But in VR, you need to take breaks every few hours before your neck snaps. So you've just spent half the time you have in this play session looking around this amazing, terrifying, immersive place, and there's nothing substantial here.
Nice.
Even though this place is cool, the overall effect ends up being disappointment because you're so invested in this area, you expect to find something big. What are you doing up there?
Well, the party was nice, the party was pumping. And everybody having a...
The main point I'm trying to make here is that as a port, Fallout 4 VR may be an absolute mess, but is filled with enough ingenuity and exceptional good points that it's still a fantastic experience. However, even if all its problems were fixed, at its core, this outrageously open-ended, spread-out gameplay jars a little with VR as a medium. Spreading things out this much, for me, only acts to deter the fun I'm already having, and am ready to have. But this isn't the fault of Bethesda. It's because Fallout 4 isn't a VR game, and it can't be. Because that's not how it was made. In Fallout 4, I would agonize about whether or not I should leave the house with a missile launcher or a flamethrower. I would do this like I was deciding whether to leave the house with a coat or not. Fuck it, I'll take the nuke. Whee! This is because inventory management is a big part of Fallout 4. But you know what isn't fun in VR? Inventory management. You do not want to spend your precious 2 hours of game time deciding whether or not you should risk taking more lunch boxes out with you. It just isn't worth it. Turn off the weight limit. Go on. Come on. There we go. Doesn't that feel better? I'm finally free! A good trade-off here is to stop using fast travel. That way you can take what you like with you, but you have to explore the game organically, because there's nothing more immersive than blacking out for 60 seconds, watching a loading screen, and then appearing in a different zip code, is there? Also, V.A.T.S is loads of fun to put points into agility and perception so you can use it more if you like. If you want, you know.
It's your choice. There's no real recipe.
Oh, they all hit my teeth.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'd like to give a huge thanks to all my patrons, but especially Thomas Askey, Blake Wunderlich, Loke Zumberg, Jason Winstanley, Jerry the Hero, Matt Siddle, Jacob Soboleski, Austin Howard, Christopher Valenz, Vidar Sandstrom, Trent, Damian Bryan, Trent, I put your name in twice, I don't know why, Paul Pluser, and JD the Media Jack. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!